A very good afternoon to our viewers for this Premier 333 webinar. The topic for today is the Indian chemical sector story. We have our special guest, Mr. Nilesh Guge, who is an institutional analyst covering chemical and oil and gas with HDFC Securities. Nilesh has over 10 years of experience in this field, and he will be updating about the latest about the Indian chemical industry in India and the stock picks that are looking good. So over to you, Nilesh.
Thanks, Sham. Very good afternoon to everyone. So let me talk about first about the Indian chemical industry per se, and then I will go on talking about the specialty chemical universe that we like, and then I will discuss about the stocks that I prefer in the Indian chemical space. So this Indian chemical industry is one of the fast growing industries in the world. Currently, it ranks third in Asia and is the sixth largest market in the world with respect to output after US, China, Germany, Japan, and South Korea. The industry, if you look at, is the growth is mainly driven by the consumption, the domestic consumption, and the export opportunity. Chemical and petrochemical consumption growth, if you look at over last 5 years, was about 3.7% CAGR, and during this time our imports also have jumped by about 8% with 8% CAGR. So that is the potential we have in terms of imports and export in for the chemical industry, and this is the size of the Indian chemical industry. And if you look at the India's share in global chemical and petrochemical trade, though it looks very big number for India's point of view, but still India's share in the global chemical and petrochemical trade is just merely 3%, while China share in global chemical and petrochemical trade is about 35 to 36%. And then how to build upon our capabilities and move from 3% to maybe 5% or 10%, and what is the scope of we have or the Indian chemical industry has, what are the advantage we have, what are our speciality. So I will discuss about that. And in the chemical space, so coming to that, in chemical space, we are very positive on specialty chemical universe. And if I look at the specialty chemical space compared to commodity chemicals, we Indian chemical, I will say Indian chemical manufacturers have an edge over in specialty chemicals compared to commodity chemicals. And the edge lies in that because commodity chemical manufacturing require lot of capex. The capital investment is huge compared to the capital investment required for a specialty chemicals. Second point is the scale of operation. For the commodity manufacturing, we require this scale because the margins are a bit lower than the specialty chemical manufacturing. So you require scale of operation, huge scale of operation, and we have to accept the fact that we cannot compete on the scale of the manufacturing with the Chinese manufacturer on for the commodity. The third thing is the availability of technical technocrats, or I will say the scientists and the engineers. So we have that strength compared to I will say the Chinese manufacturer. So these three are the pillar, and that's why I am more bullish on Indian chemical or the specialty chemical manufacturer compared to commodity manufacturing industry or the chemical manufacturers. So but in this also, if you look at the specialty chemical universe, why we are positive currently? So there are 3-4 factors I can see which lead to accelerate the growth of specialty chemical manufacturers, or the particularly Indian specialty chemical manufacturers. The first thing is domestic availability of raw material. That is essential requirement for the specialty chemical manufacturers. Second thing, the accelerated capital expenditure to build product development capabilities and backward integration. So currently, if you look at the accelerated capital expenditure by the specialty chemical manufacturer and their backward integration, that will help these guys over next decade, I will say. The third thing is the investment in research and development, the R&D investment, which will allow these companies to step up their position in the specialty chemical manufacturing value chain to become proprietary chemical producers. And fourth thing, that is we are positive because the import substitution along with the export opportunity. So I will discuss about these pillars in detail. But before that, let me tell you about the specialty chemical industry. So being a B2B business industry, the growth of the industry tend to mimic the growth of an end user industry. This end user industry could be agrochemical or the agro industry, pharmaceutical, then paints, dyes, textile. So there is a list of end user industry which determine the growth of the chemical industry. And we believe that if you look at the specialty chemical universe, we believe that the companies supplying specialty chemicals to pharmaceuticals and agrochemical industries are in a sweet spot. That is our thesis, or that thesis we are building in, and based on that we recommend few stocks in this sector. So coming back to what I was discussing on the raw material supply, so domestic availability of a petrochemical intermediate is the key to the success of specialty chemical. So what does that mean? I mean, if you look at the petrochemical intermediate, these petrochemical intermediates are the building blocks for downstream specialty chemicals. So these are the essential raw material to build upon the specialty chemical, and India depends largely on imports for petrochemical intermediates. So I mean, that's we lack that. We have to accept that we don't have as of now petrochemical intermediate manufacturers and the scale of operation that they operate at. So specialty chemicals, if you look at why these petrochemical intermediates are required, and why it's essential to get those chemicals domestically built. So because specialty chemicals are characterized as a low volume chemicals, low volume but better margins. So importing and storing low volumes of raw materials will make them uncompetitive unless they are highly patented. So therefore, availability of a petrochemical intermediates domestically is the main factor for the growth of downstream specialty chemical industry. Majority of petrochemical intermediates, if you look at, are synthesized from derivatives of ethylene and propylene. And historically, ethylene and propylene have been used to build polymers and plastics, owing to their strong demand in domestic market and lack of logistic infrastructure availability. So we have to accept the fact that most of the ethylene and propylene used for the making of the polymers and plastics and not available for specialty chemical as a petrochemical intermediates. But if you look at the current scenario, the demand for petrochemical intermediate from specialty chemical manufacturing is resulting in the diversion of this ethylene and propylene to produce petrochemical intermediates. The upstream petrochemicals chemical suppliers like oil refineries and petrochemical producers they have realized that there is a market available for this petrochemical feedstock in the specialty chemical, and accordingly they have announced the projects where ethylene, propylene or its derivative will be used as a raw material to manufacture the final products. So the case of, for example, the BPCL at Kochi, under their project of PDPP, they will produce about oxo alcohols or acrylates. Also the BASF along with Adani and ADNOC has announced to produce the acrylic value chain comprising glacial acrylic acid or oxo C4, butyl acrylate. So that the point I want to highlight is these big giants like oil marketing companies who who has the good balance sheet and the capabilities, they are putting the investment, or they are putting their fund in the development of this petrochemical intermediate forming or manufacturing, because the chemical companies or the Indian chemical companies, they cannot afford such a huge investment to manufacture intermediates, because it's required huge balance sheet. And we at current, if you look at the chemical industry, particularly specialty chemical industry, they don't have that much balance sheet strain to put up the project of that scale. $3 to $4 billion of investment they cannot afford. So this giant like OMCs or Reliance of the world, they have to chip in there or the come for the project or the investment, and that's where it is happening. The investment is going in that direction, and that is the positive sign for Indian specialty chemical, because if suppose it's available domestically, then they may come out with a different I mean, they can think about manufacturing various products, not currently not they are not manufacturing because of non-availability of this product or the raw material domestically. So these are, they face, the specialty chemical manufacturer face some problems because of the non-availability of a raw material, domestic availability of a raw material. They may come out with some new products which currently we are not manufacturing domestically. So that's the first sign I can see of change, and we in the positive direction for the specialty chemical manufacturing. Second thing, I'm positive on this specialty chemical manufacturing industry is the capital expenditure in this chemical space. The Indian chemical industry has been revving up its capex over the past decade in order to be well equipped and more competitive to grab future opportunities. If you look at the aggregate capex incurred by 31 leading chemical companies, it has gone at a 17% CAGR over the last 5 years, and it has accelerated significantly from the level of just 8 to 9% over the previous 5 years. So there is a significant acceleration post FY15, and you know, India along with China are leading in the capital spending intensity in the chemical space, particularly in the calendar, the India's chemical sector attribute about 23% of its PAT to capex. That is a huge, I will say, contribution or the attributed amount for the capex. If the only comparable is the China's chemical sector, which contribute about which attributed about 33% of PAT to capex. So there is a significant jump in the I will say the capex. If you look at the and this capex, and the one thing I would like to highlight here is the capex what they are incurring is not only going for the backward integration to improve their margin, but the current capex is going towards the growth or the new product development, and some part is going towards R&D, some part is going toward the development of new molecule, new processes, and that's the positive point I would like to highlight here. So if you look at the in terms of number, if you ask me, then capex incurred by these chemical companies or our specialty chemical universe over last 3 years was about 52 billion, and which is you can say 1.5 times the capex they incurred over the previous 3 years. So that's highlight the point of how much capex they are spending. Not only that, if you look at the last 3 years from FY18 to 20, the aggregate capex spent by this our specialty chemical universe where 1.5 times those they are spending. They spend about 78 billion rupees on the capex compared to 51 billion over FY16 to 18. And as I said, this capex capacity is not only going for the augmentation of their capacity, but it's going towards product development. 75% of their capex is going towards product development, and this is, and definitely it will generate the revenue generation stream. And very few, 20-25%, as I said, it's going for the backward integration, and that will drive I will say the EBITDA and PAT CAGR, particularly for these companies, to about 20, more than 23% over the next 2 years. So this and this, not only that, this capex will increase the share of value-added products for them. The value-added products, the downstream product they are entering into, and the utilization also will benefit and give the operating leverage to these companies. So we believe that there will be expansion of EBITDA margin by about 200 bips, and on an average the EBITDA margins will be in the range of 22 to 23% for the specialty chemical universe. There is a jump in the EBITDA margin on back of that. Then I will talk about the R&D spending. As I said, R&D spending is also one of the you can say key for the success of this Indian specialty chemical universe per se. If you look at the specialty chemical industries, the company's success and the growth sustenance depend on its ability to innovate. Because what happened, the technology is not available for the specialty chemical manufacturing of the shelf, unlike for commodity chemicals. Thus, to innovate new age molecules and to enter into new chemistry, it is crucial to develop strong R&D capabilities. The way out here is you can develop your own R&D capabilities with your own scientists and own efficacy, but the other way is to collaborate with your customer, and the collaboration of your R&D team along with the R&D team of your customer to innovate maybe process or product, and that's the success. But to get to that level, so that your customer share his technology or maybe the R&D capacity with you, you have to have minimum R&D capabilities in your organization. And that is the side. We have few example like Navin Fluorine or maybe Galaxy Surfactant or Aarti, the PIs of the PI industries of the world. So they have developed and the capabilities over the years, and now they are working along with the customer R&D. And but there are very few players, I will say, still in the industry. But the trend overall is going or the I will say the trend in such a way that the develop our own R&D is the realization of this promoters to develop own R&D is, I can see clearly. If you look at the Indian chemical companies, their investment in R&D activities over past decade, there is a hope for a brighter future. The aggregate R&D expenditure incurred by these leading chemical companies has grown at a 16% CAGR, and that is, I will say, a fabulous growth rate for the R&D expenditure by these companies. looking at the Indian their balance sheet, their profit size, and it's significantly high. Though if you compare that with the pharma companies or maybe the global chemical giants, it is insignificant. But still, at least these promoters or the management is aware, and they understood the importance of R&D for their customer, or maybe for their chemical new entry into chemistry. And it is essential, because if I look at the if your customer is a pharmaceutical or the agrochemical industry, so they will notice, or they will take the cognizance of the R&D spent by you, how much involvement of your R&D team in developing the molecule, the new technology you are working on. So that is essential part. And these chemical manufacturers, Indian chemical manufacturers, they realize the importance of R&D, and it is reflected in, if you look at their annual reports or maybe their financials. So it is reflecting overall in the Indian chemical specialty manufacturer space. And to give you some example, or if you want to, then over last 4 years, if you look at, the companies have expanded their product portfolio to supply molecules, chemicals to pharmaceutical and agrochemical industries, and they invested heavily in developing R&D capabilities. For example, Aarti Industries accelerated its R&D spending to about by 31% over last 4 years, while SRF 17% and Navin Fluorine by 12% CAGR. So I mean, the R&D spend by, if I look at the Aarti's number, has more than triple in 3 years, from just about 210 million in FY17 to about 650 million in FY20. So that is significant amount if you look at their profit and loss account or the balance sheet size. Also, the Aarti talks about the new center with a capacity of 50,000 square feet of space in New Mumbai. Also, the SRF, if you look at the Galaxy Surfactant, the number of patents they are filing and the number of patents approved, it has gone up significantly over the last 5 years. So the net, as I mentioned in my initial commentary also, okay, the R&D is the essential part for the specialty chemical industry or the specialty chemical space, and these guys are putting lot of efforts to develop their R&D efficacy. Then the next thing is the trade war, and that will create opportunity for Indian players. See, if you look at since 2008, there is always a talk of shifting away from China, maybe because of various reasons. The reason could be Beijing Olympic, or maybe the environmental concern in China, or maybe this trade war, and now this pandemic, COVID-19. But compared to last decade or last 10 years, this current situation is a bit different, because if I look at 2008 till 2019, every time the Chinese government, there was the force of leaving or maybe going away chemical manufacturing from China to other, is because of the government of China was behind it. They want the clean air or the blue sky policy, or maybe that because of the Beijing Olympics, they want this chemical industry to shut. So it was the internal factor, I will say. The Chinese government was behind that, to shifting away from China. But this time the situation bit different. This is because during this pandemic, at least the global manufacturer or MNCs and the pharmaceutical big giants, they have realized the reliable supplier out of China and the importance of the reliable supplier out of China. And now these companies or the management or the board, they want the shift or the China plus one policy, I will say. They want to move away from China. Maybe it may not come to India. I'm not saying entire business will come to India, but the other country, they will look for to manufacture their raw material supply, or maybe the chemical supply to Europe and the US. At least they will give a thought, or there will be brainstorming session in their boardroom. At least they will give a thought. That is the positive sign. And as I while discussing, I said about if you look at the Indian share in a global exports, it's just merely 3% compared to 35-36% of China. So if suppose there is a shift of, let's say, only just 5% from China, maybe still for India it is the huge opportunity. And I will say Indian players, the big giant like Aarti, Atuls, SRF, and the Vinati Organics, then I will say Alkyl Amines. These companies are in the entire chemical space. I will say the specialty chemical space are in a sweet spot to grab this opportunity based on their R&D, based on the current capex, the focus on the product development side, and third thing is the raw material availability, domestic availability of a raw material. So on these three pillars, I think the Indian specialty chemical manufacturers are in a good, I will say, platform to take off. And we recommend HDFC Security recommend SRF, Aarti Industries, then Alkyl Amines as our top picks, and Galaxy Surfactant, Navin Fluorine in the as a it is a second, you can say, the behind this top picks in the second line. And that's the overall overview on Indian chemical specialty manufacturing sector. So Shyam, can we open the session for question and answer?
Thanks, Nilesh, for the wonderful insight on the chemical industry. We will now like to open the forum for questions. So, dear participants, to ask any questions, you please click on the question mark on your screen and type in your questions. I repeat, please click on the screen, the question mark icon, and type in your question. So we have a first question, Nilesh.
Yeah.
It's asked by Mr. Vilesh Bhatia. He's asking, which are the best chemical specialty stocks to invest in the chemical sector at this moment, at the current levels?
Yeah. Sir, see, as I told, see, look at the chemical space. There are handful of chemical stock you can pick, but one should look at like this. Is there the question every time one should ask you, what is the entry barrier for that manufacturer or to become the supplier of any end user industry? So that is the one question one should ask. And current level, if you ask me, the pharmaceutical, agrochemical, if the company is supplying or the supplier of pharmaceutical, agrochemical, one should go ahead with that. So in that sense, that's why I prefer a company like SRF or Aarti Industries and Navin Fluorine as my top pick, because I believe that this particularly when I say this pharma and agrochemical. See, let me just brief you about why I am bullish on the companies who cater to pharma and agrochemical, because there is a steady growth in the end user industry, the pharma and agrochemical. Also, as I said, there are stringent regulations that create the entry barrier, and that's, as an investor, I prefer the supplier who has some entry barrier. And these are the two, you can say, the important parameter I look for. And that's why the companies who cater to pharma, agrochemical, they have already you can say achieve that they cross that barrier, and that's the positive sign. That's why I like the Aarti alkylamines in that space, where there is a significant top line comes from this pharmaceutical and agrochemical industry.
Okay. So you have a next
I
question from
hope
Mr. Yeah. The next question is from Mr. Vivek Venkatesh. He's asking, apart from the Indian companies, there are many MNCs in India, like Bayer. So do you have a similar view of them, or you have a different view from the Indian companies to the international companies?
the Bayer crop science, frankly speaking, I don't have any view on the MNCs because they have operation globally, and there is too much volatility in their top line and the profitability. So I don't have any view on that, on those companies.
Okay, fair enough. We have a next question from Mr. Anu. He's asking, is the PLI scheme of the government helping the chemical sector? For how long do you think the government will support the sector? And what will be the impact on the EBITDA of the companies from PLI?
So, see, there is I won't say that there is a direct impact, but yes, indirect, because there are already 41 chemicals they have identified, or the pharmaceutical intermediate they have identified. So chemical manufacturers, Indian chemical manufacturers do supply maybe N-3, N-4, or N-10 chemicals. Some chemical companies supply solvents to them. Yes, in my interaction with the management over last 3 to 4 months, they accept the fact that yes, for the few chemicals currently, there will be benefit of this PLI scheme, but at this juncture, it's very difficult for management also to talk about how much it will contribute over the next 3 to 4 years, because all these projects should be greenfield. So it will take some time. These pharmaceutical companies, they have to put up the plant, the approval, and then the supply will start. So maybe it will take some time. Definitely 3 to 4 years. It's time it will take to reflect into their top line, the chemical company's top line. But as far as the management feedback is concerned, they have taken the feedback from these pharma companies. Their marketing team isn't when they discuss already with the pharma companies, so it is a positive sign, and few of the pharmaceutical companies are keen on putting up the greenfield projects. So yes, definitely. But in terms of, if you want to the quantification, it's very difficult at this point for them. And this chemical company, government is also currently working. The news is like that the similar kind of scheme government is also thinking for the chemical manufacturers. So currently they are working on that.
So we'll take a last question for the day. Mr. Chirag is asking, before COVID-19, India used to import almost 70% of chemicals from China for the pharma sector. Has this number reduced, and what is the impact of this on the market?
I don't think there will be significant drop just within 6 months or 9 months. Definitely China, looking at their scale and the operation and the number of chemicals they manufacture. See, as I said, there are many chemicals in dyes intermediate. One of the commodity companies like dyes and dyes intermediate, they also have to depend on Chinese manufacturer to supply few chemicals. So that will remain at least next 3 to 4 years, because it won't happen that tomorrow onwards the Indian chemical manufacturer will start manufacturing those products. So that won't happen. It will take some time. And as far as 70%, matlab that numbers, in my understanding, it won't go to 10 to 20%, but at least it will come down to maybe 50 to 60%, 50-55%. But it will take some time, definitely.
Thank you, Nilesh, for your time. I think we have come to our end of our webinar. Would like thank you for all the information that you have given on the chemical sector. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.